Assalamualaikum and very good morning to Encik Muhammad Khairul Anwar. My name is Mohd Farhan Syahmi bin Salamat and my matrix number is 01DKM 19F1148. So first I want to talk about answer for case study 1. Based on the situation, what can be discussed is the situation faced by Engineer A can be referred through a National Society of Professional Engineer and SPE. There is a code of ethics that can be used as a reference. The following is the code of ethics issued by an SPE. Code of Ethics Section 2.1.a. Engineers should at all times recognize that the primary obligation is to protect the safety, health, property, and welfare of the public. If their professional judgment is overruled under circumstances where the safety, health, property, or welfare of the public are endangered, they shall notify the employer or client and such other authority as may be appropriate. Code of Ethics Section 3.2.b. Engineers shall not complete, sign, or seal plans or specifications that are not of a design safe to the public health and welfare and in conformity with accepted engineering standards. If the client or employer insists on such unprofessional conduct, they shall notify the proper authorities and withdraw from further service on the project. Here the issue does not lack a danger to public health or safety, but is premised upon a claim of unsatisfactory plans and the unjustified expenditure of public funds. As we recognized in earlier cases, if an engineer feels strongly that an employer's course of conduct is improper when related to public concern, and if the engineer feels compelled to blow the whistle to expose the fact as he sees them, he may well have to pay the price of loss of employment. We feel that the ethical duty or right of the engineer becomes a matter of personal conscience, but we are not willing to make a blanket statement that there is an ethical duty in this kind of situation for the engineer to continue his campaign within the company and make the issue one for public discussion. The code only requires that the engineer withdraw from a project and report to proper authorities when the circumstances involve endangerment of the public health, safety, and welfare. Finally, the conclusion that can be drawn based on an SPE is Engineer A does not have an ethical obligation to continue his effort to secure a change in the policy of his employer under these circumstances or to report his concern to proper authority, but has an ethical right to do as a matter of personal conscience. So next, I want to talk about answer for case study 2. Based on the situation, the code of ethics that can be applied from the NSPE code of ethics is as follows. Code 1.4. Engineers in the fulfillment of the professional duties shall act for each employer or client as faithful agent or trustees. Code 3.4. Engineer shall not disclose without consent confidential information concerning the business affairs or technical processes of any present or former client or employer or public body on which they serve. Code 3.8. Engineer shall not attempt to injure maliciously or falsely, directly or indirectly the professional reputation, prospect, practice, or employment of other engineers. Engineers who believe are guilty of unethical or illegal practice shall present such information to the proper authority for action. Code 3.9. Engineers shall accept personal responsibility for their professional activities, provided, however, that engineers may seek indemnification for their services arising out of their practice for other than gross negligence, where the engineer's interests cannot otherwise be protected. The obligation of the engineer to take responsibility for professional services is a basic ethical principle contained in the NSP Code of Ethics. As a general matter, engineers as professionals have the obligation to assume responsibility for professional services performed by them or under their direct personal supervision, depending upon the nature of the work and other requirements. This may include work performed for the benefit of a client, design, work, report, plans, specification, and work prepared by the engineer, which will submit to a public authority for approval. Engineers who work for one from them move on to another firm are not released from this professional responsibility. The work that they perform for their previous employer is no less their work because they no longer have a direct relationship with that firm. Once a professional renders professional service on behalf of a client, the professional is duty-bound to make certain that the work is done in a responsible and professional manner and that the client's interests are protected and preserved. We are concerned by Engineer Sarina's professional attitude concerning the firm request that she sign and seal drawings. While we believe Engineer Sarina may have legitimately have entitled to a small fee for performing additional professional service performed for his former employer and as part of his accountability to his new firm, we are struck by Engineer Sarina's refusal to sign and seal the drawing unless paid additional compensation. As we have discussed earlier, since Engineer Sarina was primarily responsible for the work and had direct control and personal supervision over the work, Engineer Sarina has a professional obligation to sign the work regardless of how the compensation matter is resolved. It is unclear whether competitive pressure between the firm may have been a factor in Engineer Sarina's position, but such factors should not come into play in a matter of this type by signing and sealing the drawing. Assuming, as we have in this case, that Engineer Sarina was primarily responsible for the work and had direct control and personal supervision over the work, Tan was clearly justified in asking Engineer Sarina to sign and seal the document in question. The conclusion that can be drawn from this discussion are: it was unethical for Engineer Sarina to refuse to sign or seal the construction document. Then, it was ethical for Tan to ask Engineer Sarina to sign and seal the construction document. Lastly, it would be ethical for Engineer Sarina to request additional compensation. Lastly, I will talk about answer for case study 3. Based on the situation in which the relevant code of ethics that can be applied from the NSPE Code of Ethics is Code 3.8. The following are NSPE Code of Ethics reference. Engineers shall not attempt to injure, maliciously or falsely, directly or indirectly, the professional reputation, prospect, practice, or employment of other engineers. Engineers who believe others are guilty of unethical or illegal practice shall present such information to the proper authority for action. As a general manner, the NSPE Code of Ethics places the obligation on all engineers to respect the reputation of all other engineers in their professional endeavors. Engineers should be honest and direct in their communication with their colleagues in all professional affairs. Frequently, individual engineers have both a professional and a business relationship with their professional colleagues, which requires the use of appropriate judgment and discretion. Finally, the conclusion that can be drawn from this situation is Alice need to be honest with Anna on her unsatisfactory service with well and respectfully. Alice need to directly communicate to Anna in order to maintain their respective reputation. Next, Alice is also necessary to contact the secretary to inform him that he did not give a good recommendation so that the work can be managed well and have professional ethics while building an efficient environment in the management of service of structural engineer. Lastly, Alice should not contact the secretary without first saying something to Anna. This is because it is an ethical act. It also because Alice should be honest and direct in their communication with their colleagues in all professional affairs, and all engineers need to respect the reputation of all other engineers in their professional endeavors. So that's all from me. Thank you.